You guys, remember when I told you I was thinking about getting a puppy? This is how fast the universe moves when you line up, when you take inspired action, and you follow your bliss. Maize, meet the Crazy Ex-Wives Club. All right, let me put him away. I'll be right back, and we're going to chat about this.
Welcome to the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast dedicated to helping women navigate the emotional journey that is divorce. I'm your host, Erica, and if you're trying to figure out life after the big D, welcome to the club. Whether you're contemplating divorce or dealing with the aftermath or any of the many phases in between, the club has got you covered. Each week, you'll hear stories from women who have been in your shoes. This isn't about spilling tea on divorce details. This is about giving you the tools to take control of your own healing journey. Listen in weekly for advice, tips, and tools to help you move through each stage of the process.
Welcome back to another episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club. I'm your host, Erica, and I'm back after tucking away my sweet little puppy. If you guys are listening on audio only, go head over to YouTube or head over to Instagram or head over to any of the other places where I'm posting video clips of the cutest mini golden doodle who made his way into our life like boom, like that overnight. So the other week, it might have even been last week, you guys. We've had him for 2 weeks. But the other week, I was talking about making inspired decisions. I was talking about the balance, the woo and the do of decision fatigue. When we want to make a decision, when we want to find an answer, and we work really, really, really hard to try and figure out what the right solution is. And when we work really, really hard, we tend to like dirty up the waters. It becomes less clear, not more clear. All of a sudden, we have so many choices that we get balled up in the fear or the doubt that we're going to make the right choice. And when that happens, that is your biggest warning bell that you need to stop. You need to pause. You need to take a step back, go general again, before you start trying to action down a path. And so this was happening with our tiny little puppy. So about a year ago, maybe longer than that, my partner brought up the fact that he wanted another dog. I was not in the mood. I was not in the mood to entertain this. I was deep in getting the club membership up and running. The business had a lot of new baby points that were still trying to be figured out. And let's get real, ladies, who really raises babies in the house? Yeah. I knew that if we decided to bring home a puppy, that the majority of the responsibility would fall on me. Who was going to hear the dog in the middle of the night? Me. Who typically works from home and was going to have to be here letting said puppy out? Me. Who's the one that's actually going to train the dog to heel and to sit and to do whatever little tricks we come up with? Me again. So I was really clear a year ago that there was zero capacity for me to take this on. I knew that I wasn't in the space. I didn't have a desire for it. And if it had been brought into our life, something was going to snap. My plate was full. The responsibilities were overflowing. The stress and pressure I was putting on myself were already max capacity. But I also knew that this was something I needed to line up to. It wasn't going to go away. This was a desire my son had. It was a desire my partner had. To be honest, I knew that someday I would be getting another puppy. My last dog passed away in 2021. It's been 5 years. But in that 5 years, my attention shifted from caretaking a small thing that needs me into caretaking the podcast and caretaking the club membership and caretaking my business. So I sat in that space a year ago, real clear, said, hell no, no puppy, not going to happen. And on the back end, I started to do what I call the work. I started to line up to the idea, contemplating, what would it look like? Is this something I'm ready for? What do I need to be ready for this thing to come into my life? I started to play around with, do I want a big dog? Do I want a little dog? Do I want to have another Old English sheepdog? When we were out and we'd start to see dogs, I'd start to be like, oh, cute or not cute. I am not one of those people that thinks every single dog is cute. I apologize if that offends you, but there are some real ugly dogs out there. So I was doing the work. At the same time, there was desire building on my partner's side. He started to joke that one day I'm just going to come home and find a puppy, that he was absolutely going to execute this. He started at wanting an Irish doodle. You know the jolly Irishman. He loves everything Irish. He wanted an Irish doodle. He agreed to a doodle because of my allergies. I did not want a doodle. That I was very clear on. So how do you meld two very conflicting points of what he wants and what I want? That's the art of going general. So we started with this big general, like, okay, the idea of a puppy. What does the idea of a puppy look like? Where's the second dog going to go? Who's really doing the training? What do we really need? We started to sift and sort and kind of follow ideas or inspirations. At that point, for the majority of the year, not a lot of puppy things were showing up in my page, but we were talking about puppies. I was looking at puppies. I was getting clear internally on what I needed. I wanted to be in a different place financially because I wanted to have the freedom to buy things for the dog when I needed to buy things for the dog or to take the dog to the vet, like I'm doing this afternoon. All those things. I wanted that freedom. I didn't want that to be an added stress on the credit card bill. I wanted to know that my business was in a place where the structure, the foundation felt really solid, because creating energy is much different than maintaining energy. So all of this work was getting done, but we weren't getting clear on exactly where we were going to go. So we eventually, we can blame my brother. My brother and his family came to visit in December, and they brought back Fritz. Now, Fritz is a standard black golden doodle who they brought home in 2020. And Fritz and his litter mate, who my brother's friend got, are the most mellow, gentle, smart doodles you've ever seen. Really great with kids. They just kind of hang out and watch. They need some exercise, but overall, they weren't nervous. My old English sheepdog was nervous. She was silly. She was bouncy. Like, she took a lot more work. And that was the thing that finally shifted me to be open to this thing finally moving forward. Prior to that, it's almost like thinking like when you get to the airport and you're about to land, you're in the airplane and they've got to make laps around before they get the all clear to start going down. That's what's been happening for the last year. We were in a holding pattern. Well, once we got the all clear to say, okay, this is going to happen, that's when you start running towards the do. All the stuff before was the woo. What's it going to feel like? What do I want the puppy experience to be like? How do I want to feel as I'm moving through it? How does the puppy fit in the family? What's really important in the dynamics of the puppy that I'm calling in? We've got 3 kids in wheelchairs. I need a dog that's highly trainable, but very laid back, because I need to be able to tell him to lay on his bed and I need him to stay there so that he doesn't get wheeled over on accident. All of these pieces. So once we started to move into action, this is where the little warning bells started going off, because we started digging into, okay, I think Golden Doodle is the right path. Okay, we ran down the path of, did my brother's breeder, were they still around? They were not. They were not. That led me down a host to a whole new breeder of a different type of dog all the way across the state that I was like, dead end, because nothing about that felt right. It felt good when I thought about getting a dog like Fritz. It felt good going back to a litter that we already knew had a really good experience. I really haven't had any medical challenges. My old English sheepdog, tons of medical challenges, not a good breeder. All those pieces felt good, and then we hit a dead end, like a hard pivot. And I had to look at that new recommendation and say, does it feel good to start here, or did it not? And it was a big red stop sign saying, nope, doesn't feel good. Everything about this feels like forcing. Everything about this feels like efforting. Back to the drawing board we went. So what do? You Google shit. So I Googled breeders and puppies and rescues. There's a rescue in the area, a huge rescue in the area. I had gone to a handful of their events. In full confession, I didn't dig how they run their stuff. I didn't dig the fact that a rescue puppy, filled out their application, a rescue puppy cost anywhere from $500 to $1,500. And it came with all the other things that a rescue piece does. I had to have vet records for our current dog, which prior to meeting me, he didn't really take the dog in anywhere. So we didn't have a lot of vet records. We didn't have a fenced in backyard. We didn't qualify for all of the pieces. And yet, this is not my first rodeo. This is my 4th puppy, actually. 4th baby, 8-week-old puppy that I've raised. So that dead end came pretty abruptly. I kept, oh, that's a cute puppy. I'd see it on their website. Oh, I'd go read about it. Oh, I'm so interested. Something would be a no. Something would not feel right. Wrong turn, start again. Went back to breeders, trying to figure out, how do you even find breeders? What are even the puppy websites that are out there right now? And went down a rabbit hole one night. It's 3 different breeders. I was like, well, this will be interesting, because I didn't think I'd be getting another purebred dog. Thought I'd be getting something else, but here we go. As I'm messaging the breeders, one never responded, one took a couple days and left a voice message, and one I woke up to the next morning with a text message. It was easy. It was flowing. I said, hey, I've got a lot of questions because my situation is not typical. We have an existing dog. We have 3 kids in wheelchairs. We have to be able to blend the family. It's more than a cute face. I talked to that breeder. Only thing I was bummed about was, gosh, it wasn't the size that I wanted. I thought I wanted standard. Okay, pause. Another pause, go back to go general. Here's where the magic comes in. I remember sitting there that night, Googling all these different breeders, going down the rabbit hole, looking at all these things. It's kind of like dating apps where you scroll too much and you get really overwhelmed and you think you're never going to find something and everything feels like the wrong fit. And you're like, oh my God, how do I figure out what I need to do and where I'm going? It's the do of decision fatigue, but it is the warning sign that you are not emotionally or energetically following your bliss. So I shut it down. I walked away. I knew that that little puppy face had caught my eye. I knew, wink and a nod, puppy face caught my eye. Then I saw that his name was Montana and the little bells start ringing. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. I go, but I don't want a mini golden doodle. I don't want a mini golden doodle. This can't be right. But I just spent half a day talking to a random woman I met in Las Vegas who was from Montana. And we went down the rabbit hole about all the amazing things about Montana. And I was really in love with the state of Montana again. And then there's Montana on the screen. But I still didn't really want to believe it. So I had a call with the breeder, talked to the breeder. She spent all of this time, as much time as I needed, amongst her 7 children and puppies that needed to be taken care of to make sure that I felt good and to make sure that we could collaborate to create something, because she understood that with 3 kids in wheelchairs, like, I was going to need a pretty specific puppy, and she was willing to be flexible with me. And I said, okay, well, let me think about it, because, she had puppy pick day coming up. Who knew what was going to be left? I didn't text her that night because I just didn't feel lined up, but I get a text from her a couple days later after speaking to a few more breeders, after getting a little bit of a push and a runaround and an icky sales job that might have been a chatbot in my DMs trying to sell me a dog. Gross. Don't do that, people. And I wound back up with a text message from her that said, guess what? There was only one puppy left after puppy pick day, and it was Montana. Do you want to meet him? And when the universe is sending you signs, and when the universe is setting off bells in your head, and when you're quiet enough to be able to hear them, then you know that it's safe to lean in. You know that you can trust what's about to happen. So I leaned in. I set up a secret FaceTime call when my partner and my son were out of the house, because I had decided I was going all in on making sure nobody knew that I had pulled the action lever and got a dog. I had a FaceTime call. I saw how he reacted, how laid back he was, his little puppy zoomies that were coming up. But most importantly, it felt so calm, so safe, and so secure to be working with this breeder. So I double checked that nobody was dead set on a standard size. Everybody was okay if the puppy was 30 to 40 pounds. And then I sent the deposit. I spent 2 weeks enjoying the secret. So hard not to tell people. 2 weeks of running to Home Goods or TJ Maxx or PetSmart or Petco and scooping up the 1 or 2 things that we needed so that we were prepared, keeping it hidden in the house, right? This is momentum. This is excitement. This is building. Until that Monday morning, garage door opens, down the road I went, about an hour away, picked up Montana, brought him back, and surprised my partner and my son. All in all, it was a little over 2 weeks, like 2 weeks and 2 days from the universe lit up the path to the reality of the puppy being here. But it took over a year to energetically get clear on what really mattered and what did I want. And how did I want to feel? And that's what I love about leaning into these concepts of manifesting or energetics, or just layman's terms, following your bliss, following your heart. When we do that, when we use our emotions as guidance, it is always telling us, are we pointed in the right direction or are we pointed away? It is giving us a readout all day, every day to let us know, are we doing things that move us closer towards what we want in life? Or are we forcing? Are we efforting? Are we trying to control things that are outside of our control? Now, the tricky part is post-divorce. A big part of your work is rewiring your nervous system, because right now it is sending off a whole bunch of false alarms. It is sending off alarms for every single thing that's crossing your path, because it lost the ability to regulate and it lost the ability to understand what's real and not real. And so when you go through something like a massive trauma transformation shift, a job loss, getting laid off, and all of a sudden having your safety, security of revenue taken away from you, a divorce, having to rebuild every aspect of your life, maybe there's been a death of your partner, these big life altering transformations that shock our system, shock our nervous system first. And our nervous system, it has been with us since the dawn of time. Its number one job is to make sure that you stay safe, which means it controls your mind to tell you that there are things you cannot do. So I tell you the story of Maize. Of course, the name took a while. Partner's from Michigan. So the partner likes Irish sports. We tried Hurley, we tried Flint, we tried Magner cider, and then finally Maize. Why Maize? Maize and blue, right? Go blue, Michigan Wolverines. Puppy finally responded to a name. But welcome to the family, Maize. It didn't take long to get here. Once I got clear on what I wanted, the woo, I did the work, I lined up, and then I used my emotions. I used my signals to let me know if I was being led towards the path of what I really want. Trusting is hard. Rebuilding is hard, but that's why there are so many tools. So I want to celebrate you because every single week you show up and you listen to the podcast. That is one tool. We have the Wild Woman. That is about to open up again. Wild Woman, that's a divorced or not divorced. It doesn't matter who you are. That is a moon manifesting 30-day container to help you get clear on desires with your new moon and full moon, process through, work it out, and move on with it. What does it do? Regulates the nervous system and gets clear on what you want. The club. Tonight, actually, in fact, after I do this today and get this done, tonight I'm leading Divorce Detox Hour. Every single month, we do a 60-minute deep somatic release. And you know what we're talking about today? Today, we're talking about what happens to your nervous system when your kid comes home and says, I really want to tell you what happened at dad's house, but dad said, I can't tell you. So fucking triggering. Those are the pieces that you are working to rebuild. When your identity shifts, those landmines are all around. Your nervous system is going to alert you. So the goal, the work, my passion is helping you rewire that pathway so that when you contemplate, where do I need to move? What house do I need to buy? Do I need to shift my career? Is this the right partner? You're not frantically grasping at trying to force an answer. You are quietly and calmly knowing from a deep inner truth. And when you act from a deep inner truth, when you are fully lined up to what you want and how you want to feel and what you want things to look like, then you can follow your bliss. Now with Maize, he was not what I originally thought we were going to land with. I really wanted another big dog, another big standard oversized crazy dog. Not crazy, but you know what I mean. And so that was the number one thing that held me up a little bit longer. He didn't fit all of the pieces. And I had to ask myself and I had to say, do you want to lean in and trust the universe that this is the right little puppy soul that needs to be here for the family? Or do you want to keep looking? Because guess what? Either path is the right option. I chose to lean in. I chose to say this is the right puppy. And I cannot tell you what a perfect match he has been in every way, shape, or form. Gets along beautifully with the other dog. And the other dog has gotten so happy to have a playmate. They are like tied at the hip or really at the wrestling dog mouthing that's going on all day, every day. The way that he interacts with my partner, with my son, we're excited to introduce him to the other three boys when they come next weekend. He was the perfect match. And I could have waited. I could have said, no, you know what? The standard size is really important. That's a non-negotiable in my life. And I could have kept looking. But you're the only one who can make these kind of decisions. But you can only make it when we calm that nervous system and when we teach you that whole process of, if you get triggered, if you can't figure out the answer, I need you to take a step back. I need you to hit pause on making a decision and go figure out a way to regulate your nervous system. Put on a meditation, put on one of the podcasts, join the club, show up for a call, regulate, regulate, regulate. When you are regulated, turn your attention back to the decision you need to make. It is how I decided where to move after my divorce. It is how I decided to move in with my partner when we were ready. It is how I decided which car to buy. It is how I manifested a multiple 6-figure investment in my business. Like, I get that manifesting gets a bad rap, but like, take out the M word. What is it worth to you to know that 1, you can have anything that you desire, and 2, you do it by being able to follow your own guidance system? Isn't that a delightful solution? I mean, for me, that's when I was all in. You mean to tell me I can create and achieve and have anything I want in life if I learn how to regulate my emotions and then use them to guide me forward? I know I haven't talked a ton about manifesting. It's kind of been like the dirty little secret I kept in the past, but I was reflecting on that this week, and it's time to start weaving this in because it is the core foundation of why I operate the way I operate. I know that emotions are important. I know that we are always co-creating with everything around us. And I believe that we can have the life we want. We just have to learn how to regulate ourselves and how to move forward towards it. You guys, until next week, give yourself grace. Go to the Instagram, the YouTube, the whatever. Check out the cute puppy pictures that I'm posting, mainly posting in stories. That's where you'll find them. He just learned how to walk on a leash this week. We are 2 weeks in. We're running on a little bit of extra coffee. I love you guys so much. If you are struggling, reach out. We don't create change by doing the same things. We've got to do something different. So check out the club, check out Wild Woman, or the newest one launching on March 25th, The Blueprint. We are in the middle of recording right now. The Blueprint is that deep somatic guided experience to help you define who the fuck you want to be in your next chapter. Because you don't need a map. You don't need to be told how to get from point A to point B. That's the lawyer's job. How do you go from being married to being divorced? Lawyer job. That's a map. You don't need a compass. Should I stay or should I go? Which direction should I lean? You already did that. You need a blueprint. You need the document that tells you how to rebuild from nothing. What stays, what goes, what do you want to call in? Tie that blueprint in with a little bit of moon manifesting magic and chef's kiss. You get to rebuild your life. And just like the story of Maize, you can rebuild your life very quickly. Nothing has to take a lot of time. It just has to take focus, commitment, and a dedication to really get this shit done. So I will see you next week with another episode.
And that's it. Another great episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast for women learning how to heal from their divorce. Tune in next week for more advice and tips to help you figure out life after divorce. And until then, give yourself grace, do the best you can, and know that this is all part of the process.